Welcome back, guys, to a brand new video. Now today is probably my most important ARK video I have ever done in 10 years on the LoadedCrysis channel. The reason behind this is because I care so deeply about the ARK community, the ARK franchise. I've listened to so many of your comments, and today we're going to be talking about ARK Aquatica. I feel like the community are very confused at the moment. There's lots of different opinions, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Will you see gameplay of ARK Aquatica in this video? I decided not to. The reason I decided not to actually show the gameplay is because I thought, out of respect of a lot of people's opinions, I would do that. And at the end of the day, the most important people to me on this channel are you guys. That's my decision today. I have played a apparently earlier build which was free and given to me, so I will be talking about that later on. I'm going to be talking about what the Siren devs who have been working on it have said online, and I'm just going to try and make the whole situation as fair as possible, but there will be some savage stuff from me in here. So everything is coming from the heart. Everything is going to be seriously important and for the future of the franchise. And I hope this video helps a lot of people out if they're stuck in two minds. So if you enjoy the video, drop a like, subscribe, and I'm going to be diving straight into things. The first part of the video, we're going to be talking about some of my thoughts on things. Then we're going to be going into stuff about the devs from Siren. Then I'm going to go into thoughts of the DLC. And then just basically what I'm not happy with, what I did like, that kind of stuff. So first things first, I have not been happy, to be honest, at all with Snail Games. And I have not been happy with them ever since I became an ARK YouTuber. You know, I've always been a massive, I've always been someone that giving people second chances, you know, giving people time to work on things, giving people time to improve. You guys know that. I get a lot of slack in the comments saying, Dom, you always say that next time's going to be better, the next time's going to be better. And yes, I do like to give people many chances. But when it comes to Snail Games, I truly believe that I can't see a way out of their bad decision making. I really don't know if they've ever truly loved ARK. I don't really know. I do believe it's kind of always just been seen as dollar signs, and that has actually hurt me quite deeply over the years, and I have expressed that in lots of videos. Now, Siren Studios, or Studio Sirens. I've spoken to a few people at Studio Sirens, and I have to say that their vision and their passion for this DLC has been pretty incredible. I'm going to say that. I know some people may disagree with me. This is coming from someone that's tried the DLC. It's coming out later today. And the passion of what comes from this, I see it. I do. And this is all work from Studio Siren. So that side of things, I don't think we should be hating on them because they've been given a project and they've been working on it. Now, I haven't been happy that Studio Wildcard's 10 years of work has just been passed around like that. I don't like that at all. But as for the devs at Siren, I actually think the passion they've shown at least gives something to Wildcards, so Wildcard's work doesn't look so destroyed. So here I want to welcome you to someone called Zed Swell, who is the level designer at Studio Sirens working on ARK Aquatica. Now this, I've actually spoken to Zed Swell, and it was a really good conversation, really nice guy, and you know, said that he's seen my thoughts and feelings on things in the past, things I've disagreed on. He loves the content, and he said if you haven't checked out this thread, Dom, please check it out, because I basically wanted to share some insight and not looking for sympathy, but just wanted to share what was going on. So with ARK Aquatica launching, I wanted to share some insight into how it actually came together. We had no say or heads up about the AI trailer. It caught us off guard, just like it did for you. Here's what development looked like from our side. So first things first, the same situation has happened again. Comes down to one company, Snail Games. Snail Games just do things without any thought or actual success that goes into things. It shocks me sometimes when I think you're a multi-million-dollar company. How can you make mistakes like this? And the same thing it comes down to, it must be every time, is they truly don't understand the ARK community properly. In these 10 years of being in the game, unfortunately, it's just been, we're going to sell this, we're going to make this amount of money from it. So Studio Sirens came out and said they just didn't know anything about that trailer. I'm not posting this for sympathy or attention. I just think players deserve some context. A lot of good people put some serious work, put in some serious work under tough circumstances, and that part of the story hasn't really been shared. Aquatica was built in UE 4 by a core team around of 10 developers with assistance from contractors. It really wasn't a big production. It was a small focus group doing the best we could with the time we shared and the tools we had. Most of us didn't have direct contact with Wildcard outside our lead. We were figuring things out on our own. We wrote our own documentation, built workflows, and kept things moving as best as we could. The only thing I'm disagreeing with in this saying here is most of us didn't have direct contact with Wildcard, so apparently some of the lead maybe did, but I think it's because Wildcard don't want this. You know, they finished with ARK Survival Evolved. There doesn't need to be anything on ARK Survival Evolved anymore. We've moved on from it. This is old news, so this is why people are just like, there's no need for that anymore. But I understand where he's coming from. We used the original ASE files and assets from older expansions. Time and resources were tight, so creating a bunch of brand new assets wasn't realistic. We got creative and made the most of what we had access to. Plenty of us worked late nights and weekends when things needed to get done. Not because we were forced to, but because we cared about the project and wanted to deliver something players could enjoy. Halfway through development, layoffs hit the team and we lost some incredibly skilled folks. Everyone who remained picked up where they could and kept things moving the best we could. Thanks for taking the time to read. Everyone at Studio Sirens is proud of what we've built with Aquatica. It wasn't easy, but we cared about getting it right. Hopefully it gives you something fun and memorable to experience. Then we had other people like Rampy saying good luck with the launch. None of this mess is remotely yours or your team's fault, and for your sakes, I hope it's a success and people enjoy it. No Quest said, very interesting thread. I know there's a lot of hate in the community at the moment, especially due to the AI trailer, but it must have sucked even more for you guys to have, worked and, well, not known that that trailer was even a thing. And this thread is a very good different perspective on things. And also this question, I think this is very important to highlight. Someone said, honestly, I believe a lot of this, but it doesn't explain the question we are all asking. Who then and why ASE? It feels like you are asking for sympathy as a dev, but you aren't providing info that provides an insight to the thoughts of why this happened. And Swell goes on to say, from my understanding, the intent with Aquatica was a way to celebrate the 10 years anniversary of ASE's launch. And no, I'm definitely not asking for sympathy. Like I said, I just wanted to be as transparent as possible. That's not to say Aquatica on ASA is off the table completely. Someone also went on to say, please release it for consoles, we need the love too. And they said, personally, I would love to see it on all platforms. The decision is up to the execs and higher ups though. So I'm just going to give you my honest opinion sitting here from this. I don't think, as I said earlier, Studio Sirens, they have done an incredible job with what they were given. Do I believe that Studio Sirens should have really even been a part of this right away? I'm not so sure. Because I don't like, again, like I've said earlier in different parts of videos, I don't think anything needed to be done with Studio Wildcard's amazing 10 years of work on the past game. That game, the ASE just needs to be left alone. If people still want to play it, like it's very popular on Steam and stuff like that, then that's fine. But unfortunately, what it looks like to me is it was a way of Snail looking for a certain way to make some extra cash. Whether, to me, I don't see how or where they're actually going to make a lot from this. They will make some though. I'll explain that later on in the video. But I just don't understand it. And here they say it could come to ASA in the future, and it would have been brilliant for ASA. It would have been brilliant. And the reason I say that is because there's so much cool stuff that is actually in this DLC, and Studio Sirens have done a good job. It's just so sad that won't get highlighted as much as it would if it was on ASA. Right, so this is the part of the video now where I'm actually going to talk about the DLC. I'm going to talk about what's good about the DLC, what's bad about the DLC, and just overall some of the great things that could have been on ASA. And like they said, I think what from information we found out, this was at the start meant to potentially be something that Snail had drafted up for ASA, but clearly Studio Wildcard didn't want it. So let me dive into it. I spawned in and there's loads of different zones. Now if people in the comments ask me, Dom, we want to see this gameplay, I'll show it to you. But the reason I made the decision not to is because the majority said they didn't want me to do that. They said this isn't going to help the situation, Dom, or anything like that. So that's why I'm just going to give you my honest opinion right now on loads of things. So there's an anniversary area for 10 years. There is different areas. There's an impossible area. A lot of it's underwater. And yes, you walk on, there's not much land, but so it's actually a proper kind of underwater one, and you walk down there and there's different equipment that you can use to basically walk on water, or like walk underneath the water. It's like a weight that will take you to the bottom and you can walk across the water. It looks pretty, it looks good, and that's one of the things I have to say they've done a fantastic job with. The actual beauty of the DLC is it actually, you know, I was worried about what it was going to look like compared to ASA, because that's what I'm used to now, but actually it was really pretty. And that was the nice thing. That's what I liked about it. I didn't want it just to look absolutely like it was made in like 2015, which is what a lot of people have been worried about. Welcome back to 2015 graphics, but it wasn't like that. One of the things I'm going to be brutally honest about is, like they said, they couldn't make their own custom stuff. So, as Snail have said, they kind of said some stuff is used, but there's a lot of Atlas import in this. And I think that is a massive kick in the face to anyone that loved that DLC. It kind of was, wasn't it, in the end? That loved that game. That game had so much potential to be something more special. And unfortunately, by just using old assets from Atlas all the time in a paid DLC for people that paid for Atlas in the past and then it got abandoned, just doesn't seem right to me, and that's a shame. There are some new creatures in there, and a lot of those new creatures that were created out of maybe old assets are very cool. There's a taming mechanic called the hide and seek taming mechanic. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, this is me being generally honest right now. I had fun, and I have a reaction to it, but I'm not, I'm just probably going to scrap that gameplay now, it doesn't matter, but I had so much fun. It's basically, one of the creatures goes like this, like little hide and seek, and then you basically have to go and hide. I think you have to feed it first, like it's a passive tame, and then it starts counting. It looks for you. It's looking for everywhere, and it's running around like this. It's running around like this, looking for you. And then what didn't make sense to me is it was kind of a win-lose thing, because if you do manage to successfully hide from it, you don't tame it in the end. So that didn't really make any sense to me. But but when it found you, it gets all happy, and then you feed it again, and you do this over and over and over until you play hide and seek basically, and then you actually end up taming this thing. It was a cool thing. It was new, and that's what I wanted from a DLC. I didn't want everything to be just copy and paste and absolutely rubbish. There's quite a few new bosses, and those bosses are pretty cool, and it looks like they've actually put time and effort into it. There's like a giant lobster. There's so much cool stuff, and again, this is what makes me feel sick of how what decisions were made in this, because this type of imagination is what we would love to see more in ARK. But again, not resold on an old game where you need to ask people to go back to the old game when you've already sold everyone the new game. The 10-year anniversary DLC needed to be on ASA, and it needed to be done correctly. I truly believe that I think Studio Sirens, with what they've done, if they've done 100% of this DLC, I am going to say congratulations. Because it's okay, and I don't want to be that type of person where people, well, when I say it's okay, there's some good stuff in it. So maybe they should go and work with Studio Wildcard instead of Snail Games. And I don't want to be that person that sells this DLC because, and I feel so bad saying this, because I feel like Studio Sirens deserve some credit for it. And I do think they'll get that when ASE people play it. But I can't carry on supporting Snail Games. I can't do it. And I know I have always given my thoughts on Snail Games. But like I've said in past videos, if Snail Games actually for once said to us, they need to decide, do they actually want to be a part of the ARK community? Do they actually want to take this game seriously? Or do they, or otherwise, if not, they need to sell up. But unfortunately, we've always felt very locked in as ARK players. Terrible business decisions have been made, and Studio Sirens is going to have to face the backlash off of terrible business decisions that Snail do. I've mentioned if they actually started doing some proper social media, they got people to get on camera, apologize for things, say it's time they want to right their wrongs, they want to get in front of the camera and show you guys what they're going to change. People would get on board with it, but the fact is, I can't see that ever happening. Now, it's not my job really to completely tell people whether they should play this or whether they shouldn't play it. Your decision is your decision. I've said I think it was a pretty well made DLC. There's a lot of copy and paste assets, as I said, from Atlas in there, but it's your decision on what your stance is on the current situation. A lot of people don't want to support Snail anymore. They don't want that to be the thing, and I completely understand that too. I find it really sad that a studio like Studio Sirens that have actually put their hard work into this and so much time into this is gonna potentially have this all of this fail because of the work of Snail Games. But I think that's pretty much everything that I want to talk on this topic. It's meant so much to me doing this, and whether I've made the right decision to actually show the gameplay or not show the gameplay, I'm not so sure. But yeah, I just really found it really tough, when you're a one-man band. I mean, I've got my amazing loaded team that advise me on things as well over in our Discord, but it's really hard to know what's the right thing to do. And I hope sometimes you guys can see that from my side of things. I know you deal with hundreds of hate comments on a daily basis, right? And the hate comments are good as well at some points. Like, I would prefer more sort of criticism, like positive criticism on things that we should do, but we as creators have to make a stand on what we think is right. And I have ASE players that there's 50,000 plus ASE players that need to know whether they should waste their money on this or not, and will spend their hard-earned cash on this. But my obviously opinion is we should be moving on to ASA. ASE needs to be left alone, and I'm going to see how launch goes later on. I do personally believe that some people are going to enjoy the DLC because there are some cool things about it. There are, and unfortunately there's nothing anyone can do about that because Sirens have put together something that is quite enjoyable. But again, it comes down to you guys. It's your decision, what you want to support, what you want to do, and that's my complete and utter honest opinion of everything I've played, everyone I've spoken to, and that is the way it's always going to be from my situation. Anyway, I'm cutting off now. I know there's going to be, again, some comments saying, oh, Dom's giving it some love. It's because I've played it, and I said I was going to do that. If it's good, if it's bad, if it's completely unplayable. I did want to mention, I think I mentioned it earlier, I can't actually remember, the game, going back to ASE, was actually not as enjoyable as I thought it was going to be, because ASA has actually come a long way. I think that, again, is another reason why we need to be moving more towards ASA. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm going to be reading the comments, seeing what you guys think and thoughts and feelings are on this. I think Aquatica is meant to be launching within the next few hours, so I'm going to be uploading this a little bit more earlier because I'm not going to actually be showing any gameplay in this. So, you know, that's what people I've been speaking to. Like, if I was to get, when I got the early key, if I'm going to be showing gameplay, what sort of time can I upload it? And to be honest, I kind of don't know. There's not really been anything official like sent over, which is just, again, very unprofessional from Snail's side of things. The PR side of things just seems to be a bit of a mess. But anyway, thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you in my next video, and see ya.